about the facial reconstruction. Facial reconstruction, or what it means by, yes, the facial approximation. The approximation is when we have a skull, or we found a dead body. He died since many years, and we don't know the identity of this person. Mainly this used in mass graves and mass disasters which happened since 20 or 30 years back. The aim of this, for the FBI, what they do, they take, when they found the mass graves, they bring on the scene, which is maybe it found under the university, or it found under the gardens, public. Our aim is to identify who is this person and what is his face look like before death. Also, it helps me when the forensic anthropologist comes. He explains for me the sex, whether he is male or female, and the age and the lifestyle. Did he was a labor? He killed? He had injuries? He was fighting, or somebody killed him, or he killed himself and do a suicide, and the cause of death, and also the time of death, and of course the measurement of all the body. We depend on something in facial reconstruction. I have a skeletal. I need to know I will build a face of male or female. I need to know I need to build my face for old or young. So I need to know the age. I need to know many things. Our face is our skull composed of bones. The bones in the skull, it's not one mass of bone. It's different bones coming attached to each other by sutures. We have suture, which is named cranial sutures. We have here sutures, we have in the frontal bone, this is called parietal, we have occipital, we have frontal, we have zygomatic, we have orbital sutures. Between the maxilla and the mandible, there is a separation because the mandible is not attached to the suture. These sutures, the God put it in our skull for function. Nothing is without functioning. The main function of the sutures in our birth, it makes the delivery easy for the woman. So it compressed together, overlap each other for the delivery. Okay, so after the delivery it will be relaxed. After this suture will bind again and close in a different time. So I identify the age from this closure of the sutures. I have another thing to identify the age. I have the teeth, which is the very important method of the closure and like this. How I can say this is male or female? I have some criteria. I need to look in the skull to determine the sex, whether male or female. Mainly, the male have long skull, long to the back skull. The females rounded skulls, not pointed from the back. The other thing, the orbital, this called the eye sac, the eye cavity, the orbital cavity called the orbital. The ridge, which is the prominent here, I can see. This is a prominent or little bit flat. Mainly, the males are more prominent orbital ridge than the females. Another thing, the nasal spine. This is called nasal spine, which is the bone, the closure, and like this. How I can say this is male or female? I have some criteria. I need to look in the skull to determine the sex, whether male or female. Mainly, the male have long skull, long to the back skull. The females rounded skulls, not pointed from the back. The other thing, the orbital, this called the eye sac, the eye cavity, the orbital cavity, called the orbital. The ridge, which is the prominent here, I can see. This is a prominent or little bit flat. Mainly, the males are more prominent orbital ridge than the females. Another thing, the nasal spine. This is called nasal spine, which is the bone, the closure, and like this. How I can say this is male or female? I have some criteria. I need to look at the skull to determine the sex, whether male or female. Mainly, the male have long skull, long to the back skull. The females rounded skulls, not pointed from the back. The other thing, the orbital, this called the eye sac, the eye cavity, the orbital cavity, called the orbital. The ridge, which is the prominent here, I can see. This is a prominent or little bit flat. Mainly, the males are more prominent orbital ridge than the females. Another thing, the nasal spine. This is called nasal spine, which is the bone skull from the back, whether the female have a short, relatively short and very rounded skull from the occipital bone. Also, as I said, the nasal spine, okay, we have here a point, we call it NA, nasal angulation. The nasal angulation is more pointed for the females, whether the male they are little depressed to downward. And I have the mandible. For the males, they have very square shaped mandible, very defined edge of the mandible. Whether the females, they have something we call it in facial cosmetic, we call it a class 2. The class 2 is when you draw a line as imaginary line from the tip of, okay, for the normal people, they have a class 2 or a class 1. This is when you take the point from here and you make angulation like this. This is a class 2. When the face is, the mandible is more protruded than the maxilla, so it's called a class 3. Okay, protrusion of the mandible and protrusion of the maxilla. The more protruded mandible we call class 3. The more protruded mandible we call a class 2. Okay, and the class 1 is straight. I have many things also after I determine. Also, I have something to compare is the zygomatic bone, which is this of the sex, and determination of the sex is different from place to place. Okay, I have now an artificial skull. I don't have a natural skull, so if I see here the closure of the sutures, they are not well perfect closed, so I cannot depend on this 100%. Of course, as I told you, when the FBI they found a dead cadaver since long time ago, they sent it to the crime museum in New York. There is one. So the crime museum they take a replica of the first skull. Okay, the original skull they don't play with it. They start playing with the replica. So they take cast of this all reconstruction. I have 2 dimension, I have 3 dimension, and I have the computerized technique. The two-dimension is I compare different photographs. If I have a database for this person and if I know who is this two-dimension is used by the police, is used by the CIA in the malls, in the banks, in the centers, and this area they do comparison. Even your home camera, we can extract the photo from this and we do comparison. Conclusion. I have many techniques for this. I will not go in details. I will concentrate on the three-dimension method. The three-dimension method means I rebuilt this skull converted to a live person and well-identified person till an approximation. It's not 100% sure. So I depend on something called the tissue depth and anatomical methodology. Okay, the tissue depth is a term used by the Germans. Calculate for me how much is the depth for the flesh of the skin. I have now a skull. I need to know how much fats and muscles and skin in this skull. How I will build, how much I need to dead cadaver, and they do the measurement. And everybody was happy for this technique. That when somebody died, they use a calibrated pin, which is pin or needle associated with numbering in millimeter. So they just insert it on the flesh through the skin till they touch the bone, till they touch the skull and they reach the bone. And many years they depend on this technique, but after they found there is disadvantage of this technique. What is the disadvantage of this German technique, which is they used the fresh cadaver after they did and the calibrated needle? The disadvantage is when we do the facial reconstruction, we put out is when somebody dies, the body start liquefying and start the putrefaction. So of course the measurement of a live body is different than measurement of dead body. Number two, when they insert the needle through the skin till they touch the skull, sometimes the pin go deep inside the skull, so of course the measurement will be different for me because I need exactly how much I need to add here, how much I need to add here, how much I calculate a depth for the muscles and the cutaneous tissue. And I need لا, it means by tissue depth marker. I cannot build a skull without knowing how much I need to add here muscle, how much I need to add here clay. We use clay, okay?
Thickness.
The thickness, how much thickness I need to add. So the forensic anthropologist, he guided me of the muscularity of the dead cadaver. He was muscular or no. And also I need with me the forensic cosmetics doctor or facial, craniofacial cosmetic or plastic surgeon, or it called also facial reconstructing doctor. What to tell me this doctor? He will check for me if there is nasal deviation, if there is nasal broken, if there is missing teeth, if he has a cleft lip, if the demarcation and the deformity. He checked in very fine details more than the forensic anthropologist. So as I told you, the German, they used this technique for checking the tissue depth marker, and they have a very long table, and after they replace it by a table called LMU or LSU, okay? And they compare it with the German technique and they reach to average and conclusion to depend on the tissue depth marker. The tissue depth marker is mainly this material is a gelatin, okay? This gelatin, they cut it on a ruler. For example, they have ruler here, okay? And then how much I need? 5 millimeter, okay. Material is gelatin material, and of course there is methods of attaching this to the skull. As I told you, never use the original skull, you have to duplicate and cast the original. So, you attach it here by either super glue, sac or the orbital cavity is different, even the nasal is different, and the width of the mandible is different. Each one is different from the other person. Of course, I need tools to start. Sac or the orbital cavity is different, even the nasal is different, and the width of the mandible is different. Each one is different from the other person. Of course, I need tools to start and caliper. What's the use of the flexible ruler? I just place it from behind the skull to give me measurement from the central ear to central ear, or from the front part, and I need a caliper. The caliper is something same the ruler, but it has a measurement like this, can open and extend depend on the measure that you want. And here there is a scale, so whenever we use it in specialty of orthodontic. In orthodontic, we use this to measure the height and the width of each tooth, to place it in between each tooth, and you know the width and the height of each teeth. Okay, you need also a specialist of the hair. You need a specialist of the eyebrow to give me the final shape. Not only you put a face without ears, you have to have your own ears, and you have many different ears, sizes and shapes. It's the prosthetic department work. You need here carver. You need card to smoothen the clay on the scalp. You need something called leather or sandy paper, either leather paper or sandy paper. I don't have it here, but I have a sponge. This is the function of it. Is after you finish your clay, after you finish your building and reconstruction, you have to give me a natural appearance. Don't give me a full plastic, very nice face. I need pool by a joint, and after this will be separated. So first, I need the skull to be positioned in the front fourth plane. What is the front fourth plane? The front fourth plane is an imaginary line used by the forensic anthropologist. It extends from the eye. You draw a line till you reach the center of the ear. Okay? This line has to be parallel, not deviating, as if the skull is looking at me. So if I will sit here and work, okay, the skull has to look at me like this, facing me. First, after I place here, I line here the Frankfurt plane, which is from this. This is because it's not original skull, so it will of course have a different. The external ear should be here, and this is the center of the eye. After you place it in the Frankfurt plane, I want to be sure I'm right or wrong. This is my Frankfurt plane is true, or maybe I am wrong. So I use something called a level. This level it's coming like the ruler, and it has a water here from the middle on the vertical, and water here on the side, and water here coming like this. So I have three different water marks, and this have level from here and level from here. Okay, it's clear. And this have level from here and level from here. So you just place it equally, and you just check your level. Is it right? You are in the right position or in the wrong position? After what I do, I want to place the eyes. If your eyes is concave, nothing in the body is concave. You have to place everything in harmony. When you place the eyes, where you will place the eyes? This is very big. The orbital cavity is very big. So where I will place my eyes? I will just draw a line from the medial side of the nasal bone interior to the eye orbit to the extending to the. You go inside, you draw your line, you go inferior to the orbital ridge. That's mean here. So if I can see, okay, I have my eyes. How I will put it? You just put a clay, okay, and you attach your eyes, okay. Of course, if you have natural eyes, will be very nice and it will look very natural. So the first thing, you apply here clay and then put the eyes. As I told you, the natural eyes you have, the more will be perfect to me. Okay, let's say this is equal, same direction. So you just hold it like this. So like this I have space. That means I'm wrong. So I press more or I remove the clay till I reach till it touch. So I have more. So I need to press or remove clay. Till I reach, of course, in the human being, it's not that will be more common. Even you can do it with your fingers. So you just to give me the facial expressions, how you smile, how you look, how you behave. These muscles very important. The first muscle I need to build is the temporalis muscle, which is lie down just on the temporal bone. It should be here in the normal skull, and it is a fan shape. So you just add it and you distribute. It is very important, and of course it lie till it reach the joint of the mandible. Okay, of course you make these lines because it is a fan shaped muscle. Okay, now I finish this. Of course, if we have time, I will do on both sides till I reach a complete human shape. But now we do. Muscle has its own location. Sometimes you need to build something before the muscle or above the muscle. Not bring the clay, put it on the skull, finish, I have a human. No, you have to be very specific. Okay? So the masseter muscle, which is one of the major muscles in the face responsible for the chewing, it lies from the inferior border of the zygomatic till the inferior border of the mandible. Here exactly the location of the masseter. Touch here exactly, covering this area. And here, because it will go inside the oral cavity. Okay, now I finish the masseter muscle and I finish the parotid gland. Okay, now this is the mouth. We see the skull half full of teeth. Okay, when I locate the corner of the mouth, it calls this is orbicularis oris, and this is orbicularis oris, this is orbicularis oculi. The mouth, I take the measurement, I I take my measurement, okay? It's very important, you calculate. You take from the center of the eye and count 3 teeth. This is a standard rule, okay? So where is the center of the eye? This is the center of the eye, okay? And you count 3 teeth, 1, 2, 3. So where is my corner of the mouth? Will be here. That's mean here is my corner of the mouth, and from this side, here is my corner of the mouth. And we start placing bilateral work. It will be very professional and nice. You place after the zygomatic. The zygomatic is very important to give me the contour of the face. The zygomatic muscle is very thin muscle. It's just like above the cheek or buccal fatty part. The fatty part is from the canine till the third molar. It's the cheek, the cheek muscle, not muscle, the fat. It's located all the way here, okay? So this is the part, the cheek part, and now you want to place the zygomatic. It's coming like this, very thin muscle. It's from the corner of the mouth and the border, and we can know this is a male or a female, okay? You determine male or female before you start, not after you build and you don't know this is male and female. And of course, you continue the placing the ridge, you follow the bone, okay? And after you place the upper eyelid and you place the lower eyelid. And this is very important in the age where you place the eyelid, because in 50 and 60 the eyelid is different from the 20s or 30s. Okay, this is for example the lower eyelid. I'm not using the tools, I'm using my hands for the fabrication because no time. If I have time, I will work till everything will be finished. Okay? Give me the final conclusion of the person, how this person looks like. So, you take the caliper and you calculate the width of the nose, okay? The width of the nose is from the maximum points, that means from this point till this point, okay? So you place your ruler. How much is it? It's 3.5 millimeter, okay? This is centimeter. Why? Because I need to know equally how much each nose will be, the location.
Nasal opening.
No, not the nasal opening. Each,
Nasal septum.
yes, to locate the nasal septum, and I give this measurement. So I have this, for example, 10. I divide into 2. How much? I have 5 and 5. The final, each nasal opening should be 5 millimeters. So you divide this, you divide again. You have the number, divide again, this is the nasal opening. This is very important to determine for you. By the way, not all of us have very straight nose. Maybe most of us have deviating nose. So when you have deviating nose, the nasal, the nostril or the nasal opening, the one that you use, it will be bigger than the what you are not using. Okay? After you place this, you need to know, now خلاص, you know the width of the nose. Okay. Till where the nose will stop? It will stop till here, or it will stop till here, or then the nose is very short, the nose is very high. What I will do? I take the scale or the caliper, and I measure the vomer bone, which is the single bone in the body. This is the vomer.
Yeah, measurements.
Okay? Huh?
For your measurements.
10 مليمتر 20 يعني 30 مليمتر يعني كم سنتيمتر؟ 3 سنتيمتر صح؟ معناها النوز حيكون عندي
اسمها اللي اسمني احنا مش
اي فانه the final is where I need to stop my nose is it will be till this way. You cannot see from the side, and I measure again. And if the clay dry, you can use spirit to make it soft. So from the side, everything is clear. Okay. Of course, after you finish everything, you apply here all the clay and you do the neck. It's very important to do the neck. Okay. The neck, we have a very major neck in the. This is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. If I go back to the first slide, it has to be with the neck. It has to be all like this, like what they did. Even they put clothes because after they were put in the museum. If I go to the, yes, here they do a neck. And the first one also, they build a neck, here they have neck. And here they have neck. Okay? So my conclusion is, if you don't know how to deal with the skull, and if you cannot give me a final answer, this is male or female, or what is the lifestyle, does he sometimes to locate the continue. Of course, I have another thing, we use it in our clinic, it's called lateral cephalometric analysis. This analysis, clear or no? Yes. This analysis called overlapping. يعني I can measure the soft tissue and I can measure the hard tissue. This X-ray called lateral cephalometric. This is my patient. An approximation of her growth. يعني we are not approximation a dead body. Her jaw will be after 10 years. How her teeth will be. So you need to follow this schedule. It's called cephalometric analysis. And in the final conclusion, you will write this will have a crowding, this will have a face spacing or other problems. Thank you so much. Any questions?